Boom, boom. Let's see. Got it.
Oh, yes.
Let's see.
Yes.
All right. Here we go.
What?
Here we
There
are.
you are.
All right, here I am. Yes. I do as I preach. Well, good evening, everybody. Peter Vexelman here with Partner Driven. It is 2022. Welcome to 2022. 2022 will be one of two things for most people. It'll be just another year, or it'll be the best year. Simple as that. And let's face it, so many of us go through lives, our own lives. And I was part of that mode for many, many years, where every year was just like the last year, until one day I decided to level up in life. And when I leveled up in life, really, people a lot of times will ask me, like, you talk about leveling up, what does that really entail? And I could tell you, and this happened 22 years ago for me. It meant I started following some very basic habits of success. I mean, really, ultimately, when it became my turn to level up, when it became my turn to get to those next levels in life, that up to that point, I was not able to achieve myself. I just basically started shortcutting the system. And when I say this, people a lot of times get very frustrated at me. Like, well, people don't talk about shortcutting the system. What do people talk about? Working hard, working extra hard, studying extra hard, double time, overtime, and all that. And I tell you, I went through that over a fairly short period of time. But ultimately, what really got me to those next levels in life is I started following what I ultimately became. I kind of dubbed them myself. These are shortcuts to success. And so in today's environment, that's what when people say, what do you teach? What do you show people? Obviously everything we do is backed by real estate. But in the end, this is what I try to impart upon people, what I call the shortcuts of success. And I've studied these. I've studied a lot of very successful people. I personally have been through the process. And I can tell you, although the pathways many times are different, the habits are very much the same. And so 22 some years ago, I basically bought into these concepts that it is possible to get from A to Z, and Z being whatever your destination is, and get there in a shorter way than most people do it, get there in a way that most people cannot do it. And for 2022, I believe this is going to be my theme for this year. In 2022, my goal is going to be to teach as many of these, what I call principles of success, but really ultimately what I call shortcuts to success. I can tell you, for those of you that follow me on an ongoing basis, it's not going to be anything new. It's not going to be like, wow, we never heard him talk about this. But what I hope will be new for a number of you all is this is the year that you guys choose to implement them. This is the year that you guys choose to jump on the trail, the wagon, and really, really get to those next levels. And I'm excited about that. I mean, we have some huge plans here at Partner Driven. As a matter of fact, if you've been here for the last couple of years, Tuesday nights, we just changed the format. We've never had this kind of format. But this is the format that we're going to be rocking and rolling with going forward. I think this is the best format because it gives us the ability to teach, but it also gives us the ability to communicate with you guys. So the way we're going to go here, I'm going to do a quick introduction. I'm going to bring a partner on, Mr. Ed Lindsay, in just a couple minutes. And then we're going to do some Q&A. And going forward, that's going to be the format of what Tuesday nights are going to be all about. Tuesday nights, just like Monday night used to be, is a mixture. We've invited some partners and we've also invited some non-partners. And so it's really, this is real estate talk. The best way I could describe it. Tonight and Tuesday nights going forward is going to be real estate talk. It's going to be some teaching, some educating. We want to utilize this time to showcase what we're doing with our partners, the partner-driven model. And then I'm going to stay on as long as I have to answer whatever real estate question you have. I will also tell you, for those of you that are not partners, probably the reason you're here tonight is you've been following me either through some kind of an email, following me through social media, maybe following me through these types of seminars and webinars. And that's all good in terms of following, but I'm going to say something that's probably going to turn a bunch of you guys off, but you know, it is what it is. If you follow me on social media, in December, I had a very unusual theme running through social media. As a matter of fact, it was such a theme that behind the scenes, I got contacted by some really pretty big influencers out there. And they were just kind of like, why are you running with this thing? And the reason I ran with this theme in December is because I truly, truly believed it. And here was the theme. And by the way, the reason I know some of you guys are not going to like what I'm about to say is because some of you fall into this mode. But my theme on this, through social media in December is very simple. Stop following me. Stop following me on social media. If the only reason you're following me is to follow. See, there is some good things and bad things that have technology allowed us to do, that social media has allowed us to do. By the way, I believe technology and social media fall into one of those shortcuts to success. But I also believe that technology and social media, unfortunately, has become a huge reason why people are not successful. Because it is easy for us to get onto social media and watch other successful people. It is easy for a lot of people to get onto social media or maybe Zoom calls like this or webinar calls like this and kind of, experience your own life through this, through the eyes or through the lives of other people. And I think social media and these kind of Zoom calls and webinars have lulled a lot of people into really failure. I hate to say it. They have become excuses why people have not been successful. Why? Because when you look at the statistics, let's say of how much time people spend, let's say on social media, following gurus and stuff like that, it's inordinate. I mean, this is an average person who's onto, let's say, Instagram, spends hours a day on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, whatever, YouTube. And I could tell you, if you take the time that so many of you spend following gurus and listening to them and what you call learning from them and getting inspired by them, and if you take that time and actually plug in and do something about maybe the position you're in, the results you'll get are going to be much larger and much bigger than by just listening to a bunch of people on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. And so if you follow me on social media, my theme through December is very simple. If you're following somebody just to follow, literally just to follow, you're getting nothing out of it. You're inspired and you're motivated. And, I don't know. And I don't know how much money inspiration has ever made anyone or how much money motivation has made anyone. I've never walked into anyone at a store buying a Corvette and said, here's my motivation. And, I'll take that Corvette. All right. So motivation and inspiration and all that kind of stuff, I can tell you that is empty currency. And so what I told people, and again, I got a lot of flack for it from other gurus through back channels, is that on December, I religiously went on social media and I started telling people, quit following me, literally unfollow me. I said the only people that should be following me or him or her is if you're following somebody and actually doing something they teach you.
Oh, Big Money, come here.
If you're following someone actually implementing something they teach you, I think that's a fantastic thing. It is no different than 22 years ago when I was down and out. I was pretty much living out of my car. I somehow scrapes some money to bring on my first mentor. His name is Barton. It would have been no different than 22 years ago. I would have brought 6 different Bartons on board. And like I'd have breakfast with Barton here. And then I go to Barton number 2 and we have brunch. And I go to Barton number 3 and we have lunch. And I go to Barton number 4 and we have cocktails during the day. And I go to Barton number 5 and we have happy hour. And I go to Barton number 6 and we have dinner. And then we finish off with coffee with Barton number 7. Listening to that, you would be like, well, that is an absolutely crazy thing to do, right? Because all you're doing, Pete, is bouncing from one moment to the next, from one coach. Well, let me tell you something. That is exactly what some of you guys are doing by following social media and following YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and even some of these Zoom calls and all this. And so my only hint for today is this. If you're following for follow, stop. I know it makes no sense because I'm actually one of those people that's not very small. I'm actually fairly big through social media. I want more followers, but I could also tell you there's a number, thousands of my followers I handicap. I know I handicap them because I get hundreds and hundreds of DMs every day saying how inspired they are and how motivated they are and inevitably how broke they are. And so, yes, I tell you something that so many of you don't want to hear. Follow for follow's sake, whether it's through Zoom, Instagram, Facebook, is worthless. Follow for true follow sake and actually buying into someone and saying, you know what, I believe in what this, guys, it's okay if you do this with the wrong person, by the way. If you jump in with the wrong person and, start doing what we teach you. And if it turns out to be a total dead end street, that's okay. That's totally okay. Because you're going to start teaching your body a couple things. One, hey, it's about action. It ain't about follow. And you're going to teach your body it's okay to mess things up and have dead ends, right? Then you jump in with someone else. That's okay. I share this all the time. I have 100 ideas easily throughout the year, probably way more than 100. And there's no question out of those 195 to 98 of them are absolute miserable failures. But 1 or 2 are amazing. And so if you find yourself today that you're following to follow, if you're just jumping on these Zoom calls, just to jump on these Zoom calls, by the way, we'd love having you. But it's time to make a decision. It's time to do something. It's time to do something. If I'm just one of the Zoom calls you jump in on, and you could literally look at your calendar and say, wow, Pete, look, for the last 6 days, I've listened to 6 other guys like you. I say pick one. I say choose one. And if it's not me, that's totally okay, but pick one. Pick one and start actually implementing what they teach. If it happens to be myself and the partner-driven team, we'd love the opportunity to work with you. What do we do here at Partner Driven? It's very simple. We do real estate deals. We do real estate deals with people across the United States. We do that by providing what we call the pillars of success of real estate investing. We coach and mentor our partners on a daily basis. Officially today, we literally switched to on-demand training. That's unheard of in this business. It's unheard of in this business because we don't teach for teaching's sake. We teach for doing sake. And when you're actually doing deals, we realize we can't just schedule calls with our partners. We got to give them like, boom, real life, hands-on, on-demand kind of training. So that's what we do. Number 2, we do lead gen. We help with lead generation for our partners. I back them financially 100%, meaning I put up all the money. And then when the properties sell, we split them down the middle. And let me tell you something, we go to battle. We go to battle for our partners. Let me tell you a deal that we're closing. We were supposed to close on tomorrow. It's a $900,000 house in Southern Florida. We've had this property under contract for about 2.5 to 3 months. Everything was a go. Everything was a go. We had 3 realtors in there. Go. We had other due diligence. We had I put $10,000 with a contractor to make sure he could start. Let me tell you something. For those of you that know me, I don't put $10,000 deposits with contractors. We felt so good about this deal. I wired a contractor who I've never met in my life $10,000. So when we close in the beginning of January, we could be a go. Everything told us in the last couple months it was a go, except we had an appraiser go in there. And this appraiser was supposed to do nothing but verify the $900,000 I was about ready to wire tomorrow on this property. We were spending $900,000. We were putting another 50 to 60 in it to fix it. And everything was telling us it's about a 1.2 to 1.4 million takeout in the back end. That's about $200,000 to $400,000 of profit we were making. Everything was a go until I got a call this morning from my office from Mary. And by the way, the reason everything got pushed to the last day is because of 2 things: holidays and COVID. To get appraisals done is like, it's an act of God almost now. So everything, because of COVID and the holidays, everything is slow, everything is backed up. We were pushing this closing off just to get a verification. This was not a like, are we doing this deal? This was a confirmation. And this morning, as I leave the gym, I get a call from Mary. She says, "Pete, are you sitting down?" And when Mary tells me that, I immediately tell her, is this going to be good or is this going to be bad? She says, "Pete, you're not going to like this." And I knew what she was talking about. She was talking about the appraisal. I said, "What's going on?" She says it comes in at around 900,000. We're paying 900,000 for it. Basically, that's overpaying. But did this team lay down and just roll over? Absolutely not. Did the local partner lay down and roll over? Absolutely not. Everybody got their act together. We already had a team member on the scene, Laura, with Pat. We had Mary in the background knowing exactly what to do. We had the local partner, Francisco, strategize with me through 3-way conversations. And I'm not going to get into the series of events, but over the next 5 hours, a series of events transpired where we realized what was a dead deal out of nowhere was no longer a dead deal. In that time frame, by the way, we were also able to negotiate an extra $75,000 off the deal. We caught some mistakes that appraiser made. And guess what? We're going to closing tomorrow. We're going to closing tomorrow. And that's what I'm so proud to say, that we here at Partner Driven, we fight for our partners, we fight for deals, and we make things happen. And in 2022, I have a mandate for everyone here at Partner Driven, and the mandate's very simple. It's quadruple. By the way, companies our size don't quadruple in a year. Companies our size grow maybe 5%, 20%, 10%, and that's considered pretty darn good. But the mandate is very simple. We want to quadruple by the end of 2022 on how many deals we're doing with our partners. And in order to do that, we have to be able to execute the way we executed today. And I'm so proud of the team. I'm so proud of the local partner. And it was just another validation that what we're doing here at Partner Driven works. Part of us quadrupling what we do is we want to have more people to do deals with. So if today you're listening in and you're like, wow, yeah, I like to get into the game. I've been following you for a while, but now, Pete, you just told me to either unfollow you or to do something about it. Well, if you're ready to do something about it, in chat, there's a phone number that's going to come up. We have some team members on standby. That'd love to talk to you tonight, connect with you, answer whatever questions you have about the partner program. And before you know it, myself, my team, and you could be on our way, right in your marketplace and rocking and rolling and getting the deals done. All right. Well, let's get going. So what I like to do is I like to bring a partner, a friend, a guy that so many of you know that if you're a partner, and if you're not a partner, you'll get to know this guy. Mr. Ed Lindsay, are you on here? Is Ed on? Kristen, is Ed on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Ed, how are you?
Doing good. I woke up this morning.
I love it. I love it. You know, I heard Anthony Robbins, and I'm a huge believer of Tony Robbins, and I believe in what he says, and he's the real deal. And a while back, I heard Tony Robbins say that, hey, problem is some of you guys have too high standards. If your standard is you're awake every morning and you're above ground, you're winning, then that's going to put you in a position to be able to win. I'm like, hey, I like that. So Ed, I like that. I like that. So Ed, for those of you that don't know, that don't know you, and I don't want to keep you here too long, I appreciate you being on. Tell us a little bit about Ed before Partner Driven. And kind of tell us a little bit about your life overall, just because a lot of times one of the biggest things I personally hear is, yeah, you could do it, or they can do it, or he could do it, but I can't do it. So Ed, tell us a little bit about yourself before you joined Partner Driven.
Well, I've always been a wage slave. I've been in construction most of my life. I was an iron worker for a while. I was a steam fitter, a welder. I've worked as a millwright, got into drywall and home interiors. And then I got what I thought was a good job. I was comfortably miserable, making good money for a job. And back in the 80s, I got into real estate with a whole bunch of different people, did the seminar junkie thing, got the wall of shame with all the kind of programs people go through. And I got to really say, Partner Driven is the best one that I've gotten hooked up with, because without Peter and the back team and Julie and Mary, I mean, it's a complete package. They'll help you fund the deals. They'll help you work through the deals. You know, I mean, there's the commercial for you guys, but anyway, I really, you know, I was trying all kinds of gurus to land a deal. And with Partner Driven, I got my first one and a second one. So, you know, what can I say about you guys? But, you know, now I'm real estate full time.
So Ed, it was very interesting the way you and I met, though. Ed and I met through a mutual friend of ours, somebody that Ed's known for a while, somebody that I've known actually since I've been in business. Talk a little bit about Mark and how we met.
Well, I think we met. I think we met in Atlanta. I think he did an event at I think it was one of the golf courses or something near Road Atlanta, maybe. But
okay.
Actually, you were a coach for a little while. But what do they say? The student or the coach shows up when the student's ready, or something like that. You know, no matter how many coaches you have, if you're not ready, you're not going to hear what they say. So here I am.
Let me tell you why I brought this up. This is why I bring this up. And I could tell you, I hear this a lot. And the word I hear a lot is this: I don't want to do this because I got scammed before. I don't want to do this because I got ripped off before. I don't want to do this because I tried this before. And Ed, talk a little bit about that, because I was not, or we were not the first organization you were exposed to as it relates to real estate investing. So to the person listening in tonight or on the recording going forward, and they say that, well, gosh, I got scammed before by someone, or I didn't become successful at that organization, or they promised me they didn't deliver. What do you say to a person like that?
Try Partner Driven. Really? I mean, they're going to give you, you guys give us more than anybody else ever does. They have all the other people have like a plan, but they don't help you implement the plan. They don't teach you about the plan. They don't help you go through parts of the plan. You know, I mean, that's the kind of things you guys do for us as partners. The other guys just give you basically a book and say, read the book and do what we say, but they don't help you. They'll take your check, but and then send you down the road and good luck.
Well,
I mean, some aren't like that. Mark's not like that. Mark is there. He'll give you all kinds of information to help you grow, but it's up to you as a person to implement what you've been taught. I mean, if you don't take action, no matter what you get taught, it's like you can't, put it, make it work if you don't use it.
Well, and you know what? I take it like, and I totally agree with what you just said. And by the way, I appreciate the word, the kind words. But I tell you, like, it frustrates me to no end when people use their past as an excuse not to become successful moving forward, right? I mean, to me, it's almost as silly as like, and I've gotten these, and we always make fun of my hair. And for the partners that have been around know that, like, it's like a running joke. But my goodness, how many of us have gotten bad hair? I know I've gotten bad haircuts before. I know I've gotten off chairs in barber shops where I looked at the mirror. I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? But in no way, shape, or form did I ever say, okay, so that means I'm never going to get a haircut. Guys, let me tell you something. I've had bad experiences with doctors. I've had bad experiences with car mechanics. But 2 months ago, my wife and I were coming back here at 11 o'clock at night, and the ladder falls off the truck in front of me and goes through my car, luckily avoiding us. Guys, if my attitude was, well, I've been ripped off at a car mechanic before, so let me drive this, this wrecked car now, it makes no sense. And so my contention is this, and I know I take some things to extreme, but I think you have to take certain things to extreme to really understand and learn from them. But a lot of times, people that have had bad experiences in the past, they do nothing more than use those bad experiences as a reason not to go forward. They're not really scared about being scammed. They're not really scared about being ripped off. They know that's part of life. This is just their excuse to kind of settle back and not do anything. Ed, talk a little bit about something happened at your job when you started with us last year, didn't?
Yeah, well, they gave us a 90-day notice saying your January 1st is your last day. They closed the company down.
And okay, so when did you start with us about?
Probably around, I would say January, February.
Okay, so you start in January, and in January, your job says basically sayonara, right?
Well, they told us in October.
Okay, so you knew going in that this was the end. So is that when you decided to go full-time in the real estate business, or was that always part of the plan? Or was that kind of like a forced event?
Well, it was kind of a forced event, but the plan was to get into the real estate, and it kind of, I don't know, jobs get in the way. They end up eating up all your time, and you don't do anything. You come home, you're tired, and the plans you made, you just don't do because you're tired from your job. And so, I'll do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow turns into another tomorrow and another tomorrow. So it was kind of really almost maybe a blessing in disguise to lose the job.
So this is how I look at it. A lot of times people actually ask me what Ed just said. They're like, hey, Pete, I'm in real estate. I'm 100% committed. So I'm going to quit my job. And I always discourage that. I always say, listen, if that is your, if you're purposely going to quit, and usually I don't know these people very well, I'll tell them that most people don't perform very well under such incredible pressure. Like most people, if they just tomorrow said, okay, hey, I'm resigning, I'm quitting, I'm walking out of my job, and I'm going full-time and whatever, real estate investing, whatever it is, I tell people, don't put yourself into that position purposely, because I don't know how you're going to handle it. As a matter of fact, a lot of people will fold. I've seen not a lot. Yeah, no, I've seen people who do that, they literally just fold under pressure. Having said that, it's very interesting what Ed said. I have found that a majority of people that do become successful do have somehow their back against the wall. Not necessarily on purpose. It's like with Ed, that he didn't like show up at his work one day in January and out of the blue said, I'm out of here. But I have found it interesting that most people that do become successful one way or another, and most of the time by accident, just like with Ed, somehow end up with their back against the wall. And so my little tidbit based upon what Ed just said is this: under no circumstances would I recommend anyone walk into their job and quit tomorrow. But I will say this: try to figure out somehow, some way to put your back against the wall. Somehow. There's many different ways of doing it. There's ways of doing it financially. There's ways of doing it through timelines. There's ways of doing it through commitments. But if you can, put some kind of pressure on yourself to become successful. Because remember, it's fear and pleasure, right? We run towards pleasure. We run away from fear. So putting your back against the wall creates a little bit, some kind of a fear, and that accelerates you. So Ed, you got it. You left the job, or you were forced out of the job in January. How long was it before you and I did our first deal?
I think we did one in February.
March.
I think we did February, March.
Okay, so a couple months down the road, and I forgot. Interestingly enough, in that time frame, you came to Atlanta, didn't you? Because I remember walking with you down the street. You came to Atlanta, right?
Yep.
Okay, Ed, during that time frame, or right afterwards, Ed came to Atlanta, and I still remember walking with you down the street. But I don't know why, because I was trying to remember this. I cannot remember for the life of me. How did we do on that first deal? What did we make about on it?
We both 17.5 for me.
That would be 17.5 for me too then.
Yep.
So here it is. Ed had to leave his job in January. In the next couple months, put 17,000 into his pocket. Interestingly enough, and this is a very interesting thing, in the next couple months, Ed does not put an extra 17,000 into his pocket. And by the way, from my angle, this is where I really evaluate people. I mean, I think it's great to get into this business, into a deal in the first couple months. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I could also tell you, that's great. But what I want to know is what happens in the next 3 to 4 months when you don't do a deal. And so for the next couple of months, Ed does not put a deal together. But what Ed did for the next number of months is he's always showed up. I constantly see him in places. I constantly hear his voice. I've gotten to know his personality. He's got a very, very lively personality. We love it. I hear people talk about Ed all the time. So he's become a character with us, which I love. I love the ability to stand out in some kind of way. He developed a great trait. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we bought another house, didn't we?
Yep.
Tell us how'd you find this? How'd you find this deal?
Well, just pulling lists from Partner Driven and following up with people and sending them emails, texts, calling them.
That was a brother-in-law.
Yeah, and then one of the brother of this guy called, but he was listed as the lead. And then we communicated in August. And we've just been communicating since August. And then we finally signed a contract in, I guess, December or probably November. Re-signed another contract in December. And we went through everything that you guys taught us to do. I got 3 realtors to give me as is comps and comparables for, after we fixed it up. We estimated the repairs and we were way off. We got a couple estimates and they come in probably 100,000 more than what my estimate was. But the guy was getting ready to go into foreclosure and after crunching the numbers, we ended up spending a little bit more, but we're still gonna make money on it. But we helped a guy get out of foreclosure and not get a judgment on his record, so.
What did we end up buying it for? I already forgot.
300. We had it under contract for 275 and then we bought it for 3 and some change probably.
Now, interestingly enough, the day we bought it, we already had it pre-sold, didn't we?
Yeah, well, one of my realtors brought in had a cash buyer and they offered 325 and I told them 350. And then we ended up 350.
Wasn't this the contract? I might be wrong. Isn't the person buying this house the contractor that was going to fix it for us? Or did I
One
get
of them,
confused?
one of the estimates.
Yeah, so this is an interesting deal. We actually are selling it to one of the people that bid the property out for us. So here's the cool thing about it. One, what did Ed do? He followed up for a lot longer than a lot of other people would follow up, right? Number two, we're working with somebody who's in financial distress. We let them walk away with a couple bucks, right? On top of what we bought it. How much do we put into the owner's pocket? About?
I think I'm not sure on that number. I think it's 16,000 maybe.
Okay, so we got somebody out of what were they in pre-foreclosure?
They were in what that moratorium and then they forbearance and then they were getting ready as of second week of January, they would have been in the foreclosure process.
Okay, so this was somebody in financial distress. We helped them out, right? But not only do we help them out, we put an extra did you say 16,000?
I think that's what it was. I'm not positive on that number.
Okay, so we put an extra $16,000 in their pocket. So that means we bought this house for 300,000 all in.
Yep.
So we closed on it a couple weeks ago, right?
I think just about a week ago. Week and a
We
half.
closed on it about a week ago. We already had a buyer on standby. The reason we couldn't sell it to him immediately is because where the Lindsays are located is a title needs to be recorded. By the way, that's happening a lot more in a lot of states. You know, people said, well, I could do this business myself. I could wholesale and all that. I'm telling you, wholesaling of today is not like wholesaling of the time where I was growing up in this business. The ability to have cash and bring it to closing is happening more and more. So anyway, so there basically we had to physically spend, I had to physically give them whatever, $300,000. They had to record, they had to put us on title. And I thought we were closing 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, but I just got a call from Mary yesterday or something. And now it turns out we're trying to close this week, right?
Closing Friday.
Closing Friday.
The
And so
title
what-
company walked it through the court and got it filed and recorded. So that helped out.
I love it. I love it. And by the way, this is another reason why I love the partner-driven model, because people work with us in different capacity. Vonda, are you on a call? I know you were earlier. I saw you and then I lost you. I guess she's not on the call.
I'm here, Peter.
Hey.
I'm here.
But Vonda, who's another partner, guess what? She funded part of this deal. Again, this is why I love the partner-driven model, because there's different ways of doing real estate. There's passive ways, there's active ways, there's ways with just putting capital in, there's ways of not putting capital and putting effort in. So partner Ed and I, we do a deal. Miss Vonda Lynn funds part of that deal. So she's going to make some money in these next couple of weeks on the interest, and everybody wins. And everybody wins. And guys, right there is what we do at Partner Driven. What Ed, just the story that he and I can hear is, I think it's Ed, why are we only seeing you when your wife's answering all the questions?
Because she don't like being in the camera.
I'm
Peter.
seeing you, but I hear her answering for you. I'm like, we need to have the camera on her. But listen, guys, I really love, there she,
Hi.
hey, I heard you. I'd ask a question and then Ed would look over at you.
I know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have.
No,
interrupted.
listen, I'm very well aware of how that works. I too am married, so yes, I do understand. I do understand where a lot of the answers come from, even in my world also. But let me just tell you, for both of you guys, absolutely love having you guys in the business. Absolutely love it. And in the
Thank you.
end, you know, when we started the partner-driven model some years back, I never really anticipated this. You know, we started it from a perspective of, heck, how do we do more deals? Because, you know, before it was just myself and my team, and we had a couple markets that we had penetrated and we were doing fairly well with them. And, you know, somebody came up with this wacky idea, hey, let's just start doing deals with people across the United States. And let me tell you something, the first year or so when we did it, the partner model did not work. I lost a ton of money for one very simple reason. We weren't set up the right way. We didn't have the right checks and balances. Matter of fact, a couple partners ripped me off like you wouldn't believe. One partner took me for $110,000 and disappeared. And that's okay. That's okay. Because at that point, we got a little glimmer. We got a little glimmer like, wow, this is cool. Like, you know, that first year we helped a single mom from South Florida to do a deal with 6 kids. And matter of fact, she just called me about a week ago and we're trying to get another deal going with her. And that year we got a 21-year-old kid who was a teller making $1,500 a month. He said, Pete, help me do one deal and I'll never work again. This is a 21-year-old kid. 6 months later, we did our first deal, and to this day we're in touch, and he's rocking and rolling out in Colorado now and all this. And so in that first year, although in the grand scheme of things, I lost money, in that first year we saw a glimmer. We're like, wow, this is possible. Like we could really, really do deals with people. We could really help them and they could really help us, and we could help them level up in life. And years down the road, 100% of all the deals we do here with Partner Driven are just like we do with the Lindsays across the whole United States. And so, Ed, I appreciate it. Hey, Ed, I appreciate you not looking at your past experiences, and you were with some good guys. Mark is a super guy. But I appreciate you not looking at someone maybe lack of financial success in this business as a reason for you to not move forward. I can tell you, I love working with people like yourselves. And that's what the partner-driven model is all about. So thanks for being on tonight, both of you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I look forward to hopefully getting this thing cashed out. And 2022, guys, let's make your guys' absolutely best year ever. So for those of you that have the cameras on, let's give a little bit around us of applause. Thank you. We appreciate you guys, and thanks for hanging on. All right, guys. So as I promised, the next part is we're going to do some Q&A. We're going to talk about some real estate. Remember, there is no right or wrong answer here, question. It doesn't matter if you're a partner or you're not a partner, if you want to talk about a partnership, or if you want to just talk about a specific deal you have or whatever. There is no rules here. Kristen, if you don't mind, can you let people know how they can ask a question?
So guys, if you have a question, on the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see a reactions button. If you just click that, you can click raise hand, and then just wait for your name to be called and then unmute yourselves. All right, so first up, Keith.
Hey, Keith.
Hey, I just had a quick question. I've been hearing about this new way of getting leads. I was wondering if you can speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we do here at Partner Driven is we basically have there's two things that I personally do here. Part of my responsibility at Partner Driven is to drive the ship forward. And part of driving the ship forward is constantly introducing some other potential avenues into the mix. So I'm constantly experimenting. I'm spending money in different things, and most of them are flops, and most of y'all never hear about them. You know, last year I've spent easily 300 grand on different things, real estate related, that didn't work, didn't pan out, and that's okay. But every once in a while, some of the things I do on the side actually work really well. Right. And then we introduce them into the group. Like, for instance, we introduce short sales into the group. We now introduce short sales at a smaller capacity to about 25 select partners we have. Things are going great. We went from like no short sales that we were doing to a couple dozen in just a couple short weeks. And so soon you guys are going to see the rest of you guys are going to be able to do short sales, and not you, but we have a company we've aligned with that you just basically throw a lead their way and take care of it. But one of the things that I was experimenting with the last 6 months is a lead source for motivated sellers, because I don't think there's a better use of my time than not to find constantly better potential motivated seller lead sources. And by the way, that's where most of my money that I experiment with goes, and most of it just doesn't work. But this lead source works. As a matter of fact, I've told people I've spent about $45,000, $50,000 into it, and it's going to make us well over $500,000. And so, when you're getting a 5 to 6 to 7 return on your money, that's called fantastic in any avenue of investing, right? And so a couple of weeks ago, Keith, I just shared that source because a lot of people come to me like, hey, Pete, we have some extra money, or Pete, is there anything else we could do? So this is a paid lead source, which means some of y'all are just not going to be in position to use it. That's okay. It's not for everybody, right? But for those of you that have some outside capital that you're like, man, I'd love to put some more money into a marketing source, I endorse these guys. I mean, they've been fantastic for us. Matter of fact, today I talked to them 3 times on a phone, just had some questions, and I'm like, boom. And they're very easy to get a hold of, and they've done great. As a matter of fact, I know I saw him. Is Kouachi on the call? Ugh.
I was just looking for him. Hold on. Let's
There
see.
he is. I see him. Kouachi, unmute yourself. Or can
Yeah, I'm here.
When did you start with them?
Last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday. So that's a week from now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Don't you already have a deal under contract?
I have one under contract and one waiting on the contract from back office.
Okay, so there you go. So here's a partner that jumped in and is already within a week got one under contract and one potential under contract. And we're hearing this from Pete, and I just introduced this lead source like 2-3 weeks ago. So again, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but for those of you that have capital, again, this is not a free lead source. It's a web-based lead source. It's going to cost you money. It's a great one because they qualify your leads ahead of time. So by the time you're getting it, you're getting a very, very, very qualified, motivated seller. I love it. I'm spending my own money into it. I've recommended it to other people. I haven't had any bad feedback from anyone about it. So for those of you that are interested, you should have money. Again, this is not something that, well, Pete, I have $50 a month. Is this a good source? No. This is not a good source. This is somebody that's got, literally minimum, bare bone minimum, $1,000 a month, but, probably, hopefully even more. It cannot be your last $1,000. If it's your last $1,000, do not spend it here. Because like anything else in leads, I mean, I'm glad Kouachi got it in the first couple of days, but reality is, we know, I don't care what kind of marketing you do, you have to commit for a little while. So I would say, really, if you're going to do this, commit for at least, 3, 4, 5 months. Have at least a couple thousand a month, bare bone minimum of $1,000 a month. And if you're interested in connecting with them, okay, remember, please don't take up their time or whatever. You have to have at least $1,000 a month, at least 3 to 4 or 5 months commitment, hopefully more than that in terms of dollar amount. But if you have that, I have no problem introducing you to them. Kristen, if you could put my phone number, my cell phone in chat, just send me a text. Just send me a text and just say leads or something. And I'll just connect you with I'll get you a link right to their portal, and you just put your information in there. They'll call you. And if you love them the way our other partners have loved them, then they'll get you going. All right. So Keith, that's what that is. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. Kristen, what do we got?
Pete,
All right, thanks for taking my question. So
Absolutely.
I was wondering, do you, I'm new to Partner Driven, by the way, Do you
Hey.
have you featured deals for us, on like doing showing from the start to the finish what a deal looks like? Just featuring one of your deals just to see what the flow is like and how it got under contract and what the numbers look like and all that?
So the answer to your question is yes. Okay. And how the best way to do that is we want you to connect with us directly. Okay. And now I don't even see on the screen. Where's Pete? Oh, there you are. So Pete, now we have on-demand training and on-demand coaching. So I want you to, do you know how to access that, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Pop on to that and just tell them to review a deal with you, and they'll grab one from Mary or something, and we'll walk you through it.
Okay. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
And by the way, Pete, this is another reason I had the Lindsays on tonight. We're going to do that more and more. I know we didn't get into all the details, but we want more, I think as we go forward and bring more partners on, I think I am going to get into more details, okay, specifically, what did you say to them? How did you negotiate it and all this? So
Yeah,
I think
and
that's a good thing, but just pop onto on-demand training and we'll walk through some real life deals with you.
Yeah, that's what brought it to mind.
Yeah. Good
Okay.
thinking. I like it. Kristen,
you.
what do we got?
Aaron and Carl.
Hey.
Evening, Peter. Happy
How
New
are you?
Year. Pretty good. My congratulations to Ed. Ed and I sat in when we went to Atlanta and Georgia, and then I went to he met us at the bottom in the motel lobby, and we sat there and had coffee for a couple hours talking. I learned a lot from him. But my question is, this morning on Instagram, you were talking about, I was looking at our success the wrong way. I was gauging on, do we have any sold properties or not? And of course, we all know we don't, but you were saying something about don't gauge it on that, gauge it on, and then I lost you. Then the Instagram cut out and then it cut back in, and you were talking something about on what you're doing, phone calls,
Yep.
calls and stuff like that. Can you go over that, what you were saying, so I can?
Absolutely. Couple things. I want to piggyback off what Carl said. For those of you that are not, this is going to be weird. In the beginning, I said, if you're just following me on social media, to follow me on Plug, but I'm assuming today everyone here is actually in active mode. And so for those of you that are not following me on social media, Kristen, if you don't mind, put the link up. The best place to follow me on social media is actually through Instagram. And I do a lot of communicating through there, like a lot more than it's the best platform for communicating. So for those of you that kind of want to connect with me more, kind of follow me throughout the day, I do a lot, I do fairly decent amount of lives through there. So Kristen's going to put a link up to my Instagram account. Please follow me. But what I was talking today on Instagram was a mistake a lot of especially beginners make in their real estate careers. But this is true. This is not just real estate. This is in so many other things. And the mistake they make is how they evaluate how well they are doing in the beginning. A lot of beginners tend to evaluate their success or lack of success is by results or lack of results. Right?
Right.
So a newbie looks at, they're like, well, I've been in this thing for 3 months and I haven't made X amount. So that means I'm not where I should be. Really? The reality is, especially in the beginning stages, you should only evaluate how well you're doing based upon activity. That's it.
All right.
It's activity driven in the beginning. It's not results driven.
Okay.
Meaning if yes, you're 3 months into this, or you're 2 months into it, or you're a week into it and you haven't made money, that means absolutely nothing. Let's talk about your activity. And it's that activity of how you're supposed to evaluate yourself. You should only evaluate results when you start getting results, right? So it took me a couple of years to get results in this business. Which means if for the first 2 years I evaluated this business based upon results, it would have been a disaster. because I had no results in the first couple of years, right? So in the first couple of years, I evaluated my business based upon one matrix. Two. Every day I needed to find a couple people that wanted to sell their properties. Doesn't mean they were going to be good deals. Doesn't mean they were motivated. These were just some people, owners directly, that wanted to sell their properties. And that matrix got me from 0 to hero over a couple of years. Okay.
Okay.
I only started evaluating my results. I'm sorry. I only started evaluating the results when I started getting results. And the reason you then want to start evaluating results when you start getting results is to make sure your activity's right. Right. So like if your results are, whatever, you're making 5,000 a month. Okay. And the goal is to make 10,000 a month. Okay. Well, now we trace back the activity to results, but only evaluate results when you get results. Up until you get results, you are only need to be looking at your activity, because that's the only thing you could change. You can't change your results. Why evaluate your results when you can't change them? Why
Right.
say, oh, I wish I would have been making 100 grand a month? You can't. You can only make 100 grand a month based upon the activity you bring to the table. So in the beginning, especially in the beginning stages, meaning until you get results, only evaluate your business based upon activity, not based upon results.
Okay. And the other thing was, we were averaging about, I don't know, say 150 calls a week. We were getting leads, but we weren't getting the ones where we wanted to get.
Mhm.
So I turned around and told Karen, I says, well, what we're going to do is we're going to make 300 calls a day, 300 text messages, 300 emails, and I'll skip trace as many properties as we can get in. And now that's what you're talking. That wasn't work. What we were doing wasn't working. So I said, no, well, we'll just increase it.
The only thing, guys, remember this. This is what Carl's talking about. The only thing you really control in this business in those initial stages is amount of activity you do. So if you value, if you've been at this thing for a couple months and you're not where you want to be, this is not a reason to quit. It's a reason to figure out how can you do more. That's all. That just means you haven't hit the right numbers yet. And remember, hitting the right numbers is not just hitting the right numbers for numbers' sake. A lot of other things happen when you increase the numbers. You know what one of them is? You get better. You get better. So, in those initial couple of years when I was screwing up every way I possibly could, part of the reason my mentor had me get my numbers up is because he told me, Pete, you suck. You sound terrible. Like when you're talking, you sound like you're like desperate, because I was desperate, by the way.
Yeah.
He said it was coming through. So he said, Pete, let's double or triple, whatever. I can't remember. Barton told me, but whatever it was an extremely high bump up, not just to get quicker to the results, but because I sounded so bad and I was so scripted that I was actually hurting myself. And the only way out of that was to bump up the numbers and to do more of that. So yeah, you got it.
Right. And that makes sense, because since we increased everything, the way I feel about the business has increased. I feel a lot better about myself as a business owner, I should say, is what I'm saying.
It's how this works. I mean, it's not rocket science, guys. It's not rocket science. If you do if you do one call a day, you're going to feel miserable about yourself and your business. I guarantee you, because I've never seen anyone build this business on one call a day. Okay. So yeah, you got it. Very, very smart. Very, very smart. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Kristen, what do we have?
Oh, first, congratulations to Karen for another second day of Carl on Deal Engine without breaking it. Been teaching him how to use it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
All right, Miss Shannon Johnson.
Hey, Shannon.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I
Happy
love
New Year.
I love tonight. Tonight was Tuesday night. I haven't been on a Tuesday night for like a year.
Now you will be.
But I'm glad you guys moved it up Tuesday night.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to I just wanted to resonate with the tried this, tried that, tried Carlton Sheets, tried Dean Graziosi. He's definitely no. But anyway, and then everybody calls me up and says, well, what do you think of partner driven? I take it from my mom. If you don't need it, don't buy it. But if you need to, everything makes sense, try not to use your own money. Well, I know it costs $1 to get into this program, but everything is a tax write-off and you get payments. You can actually pay over time, and everything else, and everything that Partner Driven does, they make it so easy to learn. And the whole thing is that on one of my calls that one of my leads that I got, somebody says, oh, okay, you got 3 minutes to get down to this lady's house, or 5 minutes, and she's willing to her tenant's willing to let you in. Okay. And this is all from a perspective of a creative financing deal so I ran around, did all this stuff, and it ended up not turning out. And Julie was helping me through it. And I just told Julie, I said, I am so appreciative of just the education I got from listening to Julie on the phone tell the owner how we could actually help her save her 1031 exchange. I mean, it was just like so much stuff. And it got me to actually say, oh my gosh, the thing is that you get is the education. You don't pay a dime for the education. I will also venture to say that you get the better of the deal. And what I'm saying is that Peter's picking up the dime on all the back office. He pays Mary. I don't pay Mary. So, and neither does any of the other partners pay Mary. Peter pays Mary. So when it comes down to it, we all get better than 50% of the deal, of the profit. So I am so appreciative. And when it comes down to return on investment, everybody is going to get a return on investment. It's just going to take some people really quick when you're talking about big numbers and getting in an opportunity, or you're going to get it over time. And it's a matter of time and opportunity. And every no, it turns into a yes someday. So aside from that, I just love it. I just love it here. And it's all in a matter of your mindset. And my mindset is changing all the time. I'm always reading John Assaraf and so forth. And all the partners are actually here to help you or help everybody here. So I'm just so glad for it. But anyway, I've said enough.
Peter, you're muted. I don't know why.
Shannon, something you said I want to piggyback off of, something very important. You know, a lot of times people will ask me this question: how did you go from when I started in this business 20 some years ago? I actually had $500,000. I wasn't broke. I had money. I had $500,000 because I had just come out of another business. And so one of the big questions I get asked all the time is, how did you lose it all? Like, what, you know, forget that you weren't very successful up front, but you actually went backwards. And it's exactly what Shannon just said. I had no one to bounce things off of. If all I had was just, forget if I had no one funding me the way we fund people. Forget if I didn't have the back office support, the way Shannon pointed out, we have back office support. If all I had back then in those initial 8 months was just somebody I could bounce things off of, I would have saved myself. At that point, it wasn't just $500,000 because I borrowed another $250,000 and lost that. I would have saved myself not only 8 months, but $250,000 for no other reason, just to be able to tap into someone. So that's a big, big piece. Thank you, Shannon, for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Another amazing partner we have here. All right, Kristen, what do we got?
Dale.
Hello, Peter. Hello, everyone.
Good evening, Dale.
How you doing? I've got a couple of questions I want you to just elaborate on, and you can make it as short as you want to if necessary. But the first question is, what happened to the appraisal in Florida that you got the deal turned around?
Say it again. What happened? What?
What happened with the appraisal on the property in Florida?
Okay, so Dale's referring to a deal that we're doing in Florida. I talked about it earlier today if you weren't here, but basically we're going to closing tomorrow. We're buying it for 900 grand, 50 to fix, about 1.2, 1.4 to sell, something like that. And everything checked out, like everything checked out on this deal. Right before closing, I do what I always do. I'm like, okay, if we're spending this much money, let's level up above a realtor. Let's spend a grand or so and get an appraisal. An appraisal comes in today. It took forever to get it because coming out of pandemic, coming out of the holidays, and it came, and we were sure it was going to come in today in line, but it comes in today at basically the price we're buying it for. And obviously as an investor, we can't pay market value. And so two things happened, Dale. One, we were able to, our local partner was able to renegotiate the deal almost $100,000 cheaper. But at the same time, we all felt something was up with the appraisal. So when everything was said and done, here's the 3 comps he used. Comp number 1 was over a year ago. You can't use a comp from over a year ago, especially in Florida. That's like one of the hottest markets. Comp number 2 was a wooden house. I mean, we got a regular house. He comped it with a wooden house. And comp number 3 was 2,000 square feet smaller than ours. And he said he made some adjustments and he really didn't. Oh, and the other mistake he made, there was 2 other apartments in the back of this. He didn't count them as living space. He said, well, whoever buys this is not going to count those apartments as living space. Really? You're not going to count 2 apartments as living? So anyway, but at face value, it took us a while to figure that out. I mean, at face value, in the first couple hours, we're like, wow, we got to figure this thing out. We got to bail on this thing. And how are we going to bail on it? We got an owner moving out. Well, it was just, it was kind of messy. But then really, that's what it comes out. The appraisal, as we had some experts, outside experts step in and look at this, we realized there were some mistakes made. But having said that, we did something that I teach to everybody. Always be negotiating. So even though we were able to defunct this appraisal, at the same time, we got a property for about $100,000 cheaper, right? So it's like we almost got lucky in a sense. Had the appraisal come in at 1.1 or 1.3, whatever, we wouldn't have thought twice about it, probably just trucked on. But boom, we went to the basics. And this is one of the basics I teach. No matter how good the deal you have, always try to get it lower. So that's what happened on this one.
Okay, that's the reason why I asked that question, because I just wanted to see if you had a chance to challenge that appraisal, which you said you did. So
yeah.
Question number 2, there's 24 hours in a day, and I know a lot of things you get up and do, exercise, you have your day planned out. And like you said, do more, but value your time with what you do. Can you elaborate on it a little bit?
Repeat the final part, value my what?
Okay, like you said earlier in the statement you made, that you do more in a day, but value your time with what you do in a day.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, I'm not connecting with the question. Say it again.
Well, you want to value your time.
I value my time, yes.
Okay, so you get up every day, you exercise, you plan your meal, you get your hair cut, you do this and you do that. So business-wise, what does Peter Vekselman do in a day, going through your business procedure in a day to value your time more when you can?
Well, part of what I've done is I've set up my business the right way. Okay. I stay out of the day-to-day aspects of real estate investing because it's at a certain level, it makes no sense for me to, like today, I got involved with this deal because it's $1 million deal. And $1 million is a lot of money. I don't care how much you have. But even though I got involved in this deal, Dale, the team pretty much executed the whole thing. But at my level, you know, I stayed focused on strategic things. Okay, like today I had a 40-minute conversation with, you know, we're here and you guys are going to hear about it. We're making a big alignment. We're making a big power move with another organization that you guys are going to, everyone who's a partner is going to benefit tremendously from this alignment. So I value my time by staying focused on the things that are important to me. Like this year, one of my huge to-dos is I'm leveling up on my personal health, like important, just had a newborn, you know, all these things. So I actually 2 hours a day I spend in the gym. People are like, how can you spend 2 hours a day in the gym? Well, because my business is set up and it runs by itself. I don't, you know what I mean? So I focus on the things that are important to me. My health is important. 2 hours a day in the gym every day. I'm on my 40th day straight. You know what I mean? But again, it's the key to everything, in my opinion, as it relates to businesses. You got to set it up the right way. And my business, you know, it's taking me years to put together the Lauras, the Marys, the Daniela, the Kristens, and I'm sure I'm Juhis, you know, everyone that comes with this team. And really, because I know that the business is going to run successfully with or without me, I'm able to do the things that are really important to me. Like I said, I got a newborn. Well, guess what? We have help, but guess what? I'm going to be up for a couple hours tonight helping. You know what I mean? And so because right now that's an important piece to me. So I'm actually able to spend, I hate this sounds weird, but I tell people this. I literally am able to spend whatever time I need with whatever I want to do. You know, I really do. I cannot say that I cut corners everywhere as it relates to my time. You know, the time I spend is really how I want to spend it with whoever I want to spend it, because again, the infrastructure behind me has been set up the right way.
That's a great answer to that question. And I asked that not just for me, but for everybody. And I appreciate that answer. And I've got one last question.
Yes, sir.
And that's earlier in the week, I ran across a property that I still haven't looked at yet, but it's kind of like in what you call a war zone. And in my opinion, I've always thought, and other people agreed, you don't ever buy a property that you would never live in. So I conferred with some other people in Partner Driven and other places as well, and they said that's not necessarily true. And so if the deal works and you're going to, you know, make your money off of it, help somebody else at the same time, and you know, it's not like you're going to live in this property, but you're going to do the deal because this is the business that you do. So I came up with a statement out of that. And the statement says the ARV can be represented by the crime. Could you elaborate on that?
The what can be represented by crime?
The ARV can be represented by crime.
The ARV could be represented by crime.
Yes, sir. The after repair value can be represented by the crime in the neighborhood. And I guess that's saying it could drive the prices up or down. I just thought maybe you could elaborate more on that and help me understand more what that means to you.
Well, look, ARV is determined by multiple things, right? And so it's determined by comps, but how are comps determined? Well, of course, the area that they're in is going to influence the comps, right? If you're in an area that has a high crime rate, your values are naturally going to be lower than if you're area where there is no crime rate. If you're in an area that has outstanding school system, you're going to be higher comps than in an area that has an awful school system. If you're in an area and you're driving down the road and you're hitting potholes every 1 second, you're going to be in a lower comp area than if you're driving in this gorgeous, pristine area with trees and all this. So all those factors influence the ARV. And of course, crime, let's face it, crime is one of them. Having said that, it comes down to numbers. It comes down to numbers. And that's why it is important, just like today we ran into this issue with appraisal, it is important to understand how the numbers are derived and what factors go into deriving those numbers. But if the numbers make sense, Dale, I don't care if I'm in the worst neighborhood in Georgia or I'm in the best neighborhood in Georgia. That to me doesn't matter. I don't care if I'm in the most crime infected neighborhood or I'm in the least crime infected. What I care about is that the numbers, the integrity of the deal has to make sense according to the numbers.
Thank you very much, sir,
Yeah.
for those answers, those questions for me and everyone in Partner Driven.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you as always. Appreciate it. Kristen, what do we got?
Steve?
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Mr. Snowman, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Actually, truth be told, if I sound funny, I've jacked up on pain pills. I got a pounding migraine, but
Ugh.
I was not gonna miss this.
I love it. Well, I don't love the haircut. I don't love the bad head. But I'm glad
Yeah,
that you're
that's
on
right.
here.
So I just started, I'm a partner-driven Max client,
Mhm.
and my phone pro is killing it. She is just phenomenal. Problem is, now what do? I'm starting to get like too many leads, and I need to know what my next step is. I'll even partner up with someone that's in my area. We can work together on a couple deals, and I guess I'm getting overwhelmed and I don't want to leave anything behind.
Yeah. First of all, great problem to have that you got too many leads. Number two, are you going to be, we're doing special calls with PD Max. Are you going to be on the call tomorrow? Wait, not tomorrow, Thursday.
That's the PD Max call?
That's the PD Max call.
Yes.
Okay, let's bring that to that call specifically because we do have interconnectivity between partners. Okay, so there is a way. I know we have a lot of partners having other partners for sometimes exactly that reason. You got one partner that's got a full-time job. You got another partner that's in a different area, but it's specifically since you're at the PD Max level, let's make sure that we bring that up in front of the group and see how everybody could step up and help you. But having said that, what a problem to have. There's people on this call right now, like saying, wow, how do I get to the point? There's too many leads coming in. Okay. There's plenty of people that are like switch positions with you. But having said that, let's make sure that we handle it the right way together. Okay.
Okay, so one of the things you brought up was on-demand coaching. I guess that's new for this year. Is there a link for that or?
Yeah. So Kristen, if you don't mind getting Steve the link, we'll get it behind the scenes to you because there's some non-partners in the call and we don't want to give out the links.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
But you'll get that too. But yeah, now literally like it's whatever, 11 o'clock in the afternoon and you got a seller on the phone and they're like, whoa, that's a curveball. Boom. You just dial into Zoom and there's one of our coaches right on there and you go over to scenario and we help you right out.
Because the situation I have right now, I think I have 17 people that want me to call them back, but one of them I went through the whole process with Julie on how to like evaluate a deal. I don't want to take up all of her time. I think I should be able to do that myself. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't.
Well, yes and no. We're here for you. We wouldn't be here for you if you're taking too much of our time. Okay, so relax. You know what I mean? That's like we'll tell you if it's too much. How about that?
All right. Sounds
you're
good.
fine. This is the only way we do deals is by helping enough Steve do deals. Okay. But here's the other thing, Steve, here's the other thing. It's not going to take you as long as you think to really start getting it. Like, okay, I got 20 people that want me to call. In the end, I kind of need the same information from all 20 of them. You know what I mean? It's not like one person is on Mars and the next one is in Egypt and the next one lives in the middle of an island. Pretty much the same across. So keep on connecting with us. And now that we have on demand, make sure you're on there tomorrow. Okay. And we'll help you through it. Because once you go through it a couple of times, you're going to realize, again, 20 people needing to get a hold of you. There's people that are like, buy a ticket right now, fly to your city and like, all right, Steve, let's partner up and we'll do it. Great problem to have. Great problem to have.
So I finally made my move. So I'm going to have to drive up and take you to lunch sometime.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
You're in Florida now, right?
Yeah, you were in Destin the other day, weren't you?
We were in, what's the beach right next to Destin?
You were at Rosemary.
Rosemary. Yes, we're in Rosemary and we're actually heading back to Rosemary. We just had a newborn a couple of weeks ago and we're taking our first trip with Olivia in February, and we love Rosemary. And we're
Okay,
doing
well, let me know.
Rosemary
I'll take you
because
guys
it's
to lunch.
driving distance from us. We could take the nanny, and we're too, we're not ready to do the plane yet. We got to make sure that she can handle at least the drive. So we're
Well,
gonna
let
do
me know. I'll
Rosemary.
take you guys to lunch.
It's a deal.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Steve, I just texted you that link. All
Okay,
right,
thank you.
you're welcome.
And Steve, check your chat, because I put my phone number in there.
Okay.
All right, next up is Ed.
Mr. Lindsay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to your their lead source. I think that's a pretty good source because one, it doesn't cost anything to set it up. You can set a monthly budget, but you can suspend the account if you get, if you get your up to your budget, you can suspend the account. You can dispute negative leads that you get that aren't quality leads. So I got a credit card that I'm just going to use for that account. I figure if I should be able to do a deal before the card gets too high and pay the card off. But I mean, I've already got 2 leads in there that I'm working on. I haven't, they're not contracted and they're not closed yet, but they are potential numbers are good. And, I'm just going to talk to the people and get them under contract. But
How it works. It's how it works. It's a no-brainer. Again, if anyone wants to connect with that lead source, Kristen, if you could put my number in there, just send me a text, put the word lead, and I'll get you connected. But you got to have at least, make sure you have at least minimum $1,000 a month for a number of months to be working with. All right, Kristen, any other questions?
Sir Lawrence.
Good evening.
What's up? What's up?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, I got 2 questions. One is about the follow situation on Instagram that you brought up. You do a lot of brief live videos, and it takes Instagram a minute or 2 sometimes to get notifications out to us that you're on there for live. So is there any way that maybe you could either do a longer live? Because a lot of times when I get over there to you, the live video has ended. So,
Yes.
So maybe you can go on there without actually going on there and giving the notifications time to get out. So by the time we get there, you can be just starting. Because I missed every last one of them that way because of the notification delay.
So here's what you do. Go to my account tonight, right?
Yes, sir.
Go to my account. You will see on the upper right-hand corner of my account, of every account, there's a bell, literally. Okay, so go to my account, Peter Vexel, Instagram/Peter Vexelman. Upper right-hand corner, you'll literally see a bell. Click that bell, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
you will see next time I go live, you'll know immediately. It'll notify you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
that's how you do it. Like with the people that I want to watch live, I do that with them all the time. So if you want to be notified immediately without a delay, go to my account, upper right-hand corner, there's a bell, click the bell, and it'll just say notifications and just say, notify right away for whatever, lives and postings and all that.
All right, cool. Second issue, I'll call it an issue instead of a question. I have a deal that's a really great deal, but like with a lot of deals, there's an obstacle in the way. And the obstacle is like a time frame. So the deal has a tenant whose lease expires in 6 months.
Okay.
Okay, but the seller wants to sell it and he wants to close on it like within the next month and a half because he's going to be doing a 1031 exchange. So is it any scenario to where we could maybe do the purchase, collect the rent until the lease is over, and then sell the property if it's a hotel? Like
What's
in
the
great
numbers?
condition with
Give me what? Whoa, sorry about that. Give me purchase, rehab, resale. Just 3 numbers. Purchase, rehab, resale.
purchase would be 136.
Okay,
Resale would be like 190.
and what's the rehab?
Zero. It's been updated within the last 3 years and it has stainless steel appliances and new roof and everything. It's
Okay,
in
so
great
130, 136 to buy. The very next day, we could put it in the market for 190 and it'll sell for about 190.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's somebody we want to try to do cash for keys, which we do quite a lot. Do you know what cash for keys means?
Yes, to where we give some money
Yeah,
to
I mean,
help the
that,
tenant.
if it's,
relocate.
heck, if those are the real numbers, I'll pay thousands of dollars to that person to get out.
Okay, so what if that isn't an option?
That they
I
do not want to,
I'm saying, would it make sense to collect the rent for, the next 4.5 months and then sell it?
potentially, we want to confirm the numbers. We want to confirm all the numbers. We want to review the lease because some lease have an automatic renewal and we can't do anything about it. So
Right.
we want to, number one, try cash for keys. Number two, make sure that the lease is in line. Number three, we want to talk to the tenant that they agree that this lease is going to come to an end in whatever, a couple months. And if all those things match up, okay, if all those things match up, then that's potentially a deal.
Cool.
Yeah, you want to
Right.
make sure that lease, Lawrence, doesn't have an auto renewal or something like that in there that we can't do anything about.
Well, actually, it's a month to month with a verbal agreement with the seller to the tenant that he would not sell for 6 months.
Ooh, month to month, that's a little bit, yeah, let's see if we can do a cash for keys on something like that.
Okay.
And then let's talk to the tenant, because month to month, what's to say 6 months from now, they're like, well, I ain't getting out. And then we spend another 6 months trying to get them out. Okay, but that's potentially, again, that is potentially a doable deal. Let's walk through all those scenarios. We may have to have the tenant sign something that they'll be out, whatever, in 3 months.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted to know if it was possible. I know it's gonna take some.
Every deal's a mountain. Every deal's a mountain.
All right, thank you.
You know that. All right, Kristen, any other questions?
Carl.
Peter, real quick, Shelby in the text asked what cash for keys were. I know what it is. I couldn't.
Cash
but I
for keys
can't
is just
say-
basically when you buy the tenant out. You just go in there, give them $1,000, give them $500, and they move out. We do that all the time.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kristen, I think we're questioned out, right?
Sir Lawrence, did you have another question?
I think he just didn't help hang up his hand.
All righty, then that's
All
it.
right, guys, listen, remember where we started from. Don't follow for follow's sake, follow for activity's sake. I enjoyed it. I loved it. 2022, you decide. Another year or best year ever. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Year ever.
Best year ever. Fred had.
22.
Bye, y'all.